Yeah, hello and welcome. Today we'll be looking at the setup and installation of Flutter, which is very, very important in today's what I'm going to be doing today. Now, the installation and setup of Flutter is kind of very hectic, so it's going to take time, and it's going to require you have enough data. So you will need to have enough data. So the first thing first, as I would want to say, is that we're going to install the Dart SDK. So let's make sure that we go to the Flutter website, which you just type in flutter.dev. So the first thing is to install Flutter. We need to download Flutter, depending on your what is it called, depending on your system, the kind of PC you are using. So you come to the system, flutter.dev here, and you click on get started. So when you click on get started, um, click on Windows here. So depending on your OS, depending on your OS, it could be Windows, it could be Mac, anything. But just for now, I'll just be working with Windows. So as you can see, the system requirements, it says, let me just put this over here. Just put it down here. So now the system requirement says to install and run Flutter, your development environment must meet these system requirements. Operating system should be Windows 10 and above, 64-bit to be precise. How am I going to check if my Windows is 64-bit? You can just come to your File Explorer, click File Explorer, click on this PC and click on Property. So from here, you could see it's going to bring out a dialog of my system specification. So I think this one, I'm just, as you can see, we have the Windows 10 Home, my processor, Intel Core i5-5200U, 2.20, GHz. Now you have to check your system type, which is 64-bit operating system, x64 based processor. Now, if this is not meeting the requirement, it's two ways. It's either you got to reformat or reload your operating system with 64 base processor, which is one, or two, you check if the system itself, the computer itself, is a 64 base processor because there are some PC that shouldn't be running Flutter. So you need to have Core i5 and above, 8 gigs of RAM. So then you check your system type. So if after all of these you couldn't meet this system requirement, do not worry. There is still other alternative which I might share in the next video. Yeah, which I should share in the next video. So you need to check all these requirements, which is very important here. So once you've done that and you check it's meeting this, you can see we have disk space should be 2.5 gig, your ROM. Then your tools, you need a Windows PowerShell 5.0. You need Git for Windows. So if you don't have all of this, we need to start. Once you have Windows 10, you should have a Windows PowerShell. As you can see, this is pre-installed with Windows 10. So the next thing is Git. You need to download Git. So come in here and type on Git, not Git or Git, Git. So you need to download Git. You come to the Git website. So as you can see, once you come to the Git website, just go down to whatever you want to download it for. So it's automatically go to detect if you are on your on the operating system you are on. So as you can see, I have download for Windows here. You can see Mac build tab and just select for Windows. So I have Git installed. So I have Git installed. So but you could just download it. It doesn't take much MB. So I have Git installed. So download Git 64 bits and you follow the process. So it shouldn't be more than 64 or I think 58 MB. Yeah, it should be more than 58 MB. So once you downloaded GitHub, so which I'll just try and download. So most of the installation I'm not going to be doing here is just a simple thing, to do installed on my PC. So once you got it installed on your PC, you can check the version by just even if you just right click here, you'd see this open Git here. But you could come to your command prompt and just type in git-b, and you can see git version 2.42.0. So that's how you know that git is installed on your PC. So I'm going to close all of these. I'm going to come back here. So git needs to be installed. So once you've installed git, we then go to the next step. Now the next step is to get the Flutter SDK. You need to get the Flutter SDK. So you have to just download it here. It's going to download like a zip file. I think it's 800 megabytes. So I think I have that installed. So now once you have what's it called? Once you have it installed, you download this installed. You have to come to your file explorer, click on local disk C. Then you need to create a new file. Now all of these are going to be in the description when I'm going to be writing them down. You're going to create a new file called src. Now it's very important to create a new file src. Call the file folder a new folder called src on your local disk. It should be in the same scope of your program data, program file. And why we are keeping it here so that the antivirus will not, tend to, disturb any files there. And we want it to be outside the scope whereby the program will have to, start destructing what we are doing. So once you've done this, you type in Defender. These are other extra steps you need to do. You type in Defender. Let me see. Once you type in your Defender, you click on my virus and threat protections. Click on Manage Settings. So you go down, then you go to Exclusions. So you're going to add or remove. So what this exclusion means is that you want to add a folder. You want to exclude a folder. So you're going to click on this, and you see I've added. So you just click on this, click on Folder, and go to your local disk and select that SRC you want to exclude. This means whenever the antivirus is trying to do some kind of work, it shouldn't get to this folder. So if you don't understand what I just did, you can follow the steps which I'm going to be putting in the handout, and also you can just rewatch the video. So you just go to Settings, go to Windows Security, go to Virus and Threat Protection. Try to locate this Virus and Threat Protection system and click on Manage Systems. Then go down to exclusions. So that's for that. So back here, once you've done that, you click on your SRC. You extract your Flutter. Once you extract it, you will see this folder called Flutter, which is very important. You see this folder called Flutter. Then you can delete the zip file that you downloaded, or you can keep it somewhere. But it's advisable for you to keep it somewhere in case something happens to your to your file. So once you click on this Flutter now, you have these stuffs in here, all of these here. Then you want to go to your bin, then stop in here. So once you stop in here, let's go back to what we are doing. So the next step says, as you can see, do not install Flutter to a path that contains characters or spaces. You do not have to do this. Now, it says do not install Flutter in a directory like C and inside the program files. That requires elevated privileges. We don't want that. So once you've done what I said you should do, now we're going to update your path. Updating your path is very important. So how do we update the path? What is the meaning of updating the path? Now it's just like bringing someone into your house and you're trying to introduce those people to the people who are in the house before. So it's like bringing my friend home and telling my family members that, yeah, meet Victor, yeah, meet Daniel, yeah, meet David. Now we need to tell our computer that Flutter has been installed. We did not put any exe. We didn't click on any exe and it did any kind of complicated installation. If you're going to be doing that for Git, you have to click on install Git. Computer will install and extract it by itself. Now for Flutter, we extracted it ourselves. So what we have to do right now is we have to tell the computer that, okay, Flutter is actually staying here. We have to point Flutter there. So for us to do that, there's something called environment variables. So just open your Windows and type on environment variables. So click on environment variables. Then you're going to want to take your path. Click on paths. So we have two environment variables, the users variables and the system variables. So what you're going to do is you're going to come back here. Something you need to copy. You see this location here, this PC, local disk, SRC. This is the location of what we need. Just come in here and Control C. This is very important. It must end at the slash bin. Now, if you notice, we have Flutter there, we have that there. You can see these batch files. We have two batch files there, Flutter and that. So with this address you have here, with this particular address you have here, you've told your computer that Flutter is available, that is available. So with that, I can just go to my environment variables here, double click on the path, and I'm going to add a new one. I've done this before, so as you can see, just click on add new one, paste it here, and click OK. Come to the system variable, look for path, double click here. So let me, because I've added it before, so let me just come in here, environment variable. So as you can see, so I have it here also. So I put it for the two, just in case of anything. I just have it on the two parts. So once you've done this, and you come to your CMD, your command prompt, to be sure that Flutter is installed, just type in Flutter -v, and you're going to get, this means what's the version. So as you can see, we have Flutter, manage your Flutter application. You can see we have Flutter there. Then once you want to check, that -v, as you can see, that is installed also. So we got the both of them installed. So if you have these two, that means you have Flutter and that installed, but it doesn't stop there. Now once you go down again to what we are doing, as you can see the parts, the required parts. They want to run Flutter Doctor. So before we run Flutter Doctor, it's compulsory you have VS Code installed. VS Code is very important. So you're going to come in here and type on VS Code. So download VS Code. Now if you follow all these steps that I did one after the other, you won't have any issues. So you're going to download VS Code, and you can download for the versions you want, which is applicable. So just download your VS Code and just have that installed. So follow the step you did when you're following for Git to install VS Code. So once you have VS Code installed, the next thing you want to download is, so you just come to code.visualstudio.com/download. That's where you go get VS Code. Then the next thing you want to do is go to Android Studio. I think, yeah, this one. So you get to Android Studio, you want to download Android Studio. Now VS Code shouldn't cost 7680 MB, max 90 MB. Android Studio, the latest one is 1 point some gigs, so let's just say 1 gig. So right now we are spending close to 3 gigs already, 2 point something, 2 point, like 2 point some gigs right now. So you click on download. So I think I have this Android Studio Giraffe, which is very important. So just download this. So if you have Android Studio before, it's fine. It's okay. So download your Android Studio and follow the installation. Now, once you're done with your Android Studio, once you're done with the installation of your Android Studio, you want to configure your Android Studio very importantly. So I'm going to open Android Studio. Yeah. Sorry. I'll close this. So all of these steps would be on the, on the description of the video in the handout. So do not worry about that. So Android Studio is kind of heavy. That's why you need a PC that is, very strong. So once you have your Android Studio, installed, you're going to get this screen for the first time. Then it's going to tell you to import some settings. Now I'm not going to have that. That's because I'm just doing this installation for the first time, but I'm surely going to screenshot for you how it's going to go in the handout. So once you follow the settings, you're going to see a place that says do not configure import settings. Just put do not configure and keep clicking next till you get to a point whereby it's going to ask you to accept some terms. So you're going to click on each of them and you're going to accept the terms, then you're going to continue the downloads. So just make sure you follow the download. So once you are done with that and you get to this point, the only thing you want to do here is to come to this setting here, click on SDK Manager. That is the only thing you're going. Once everything has installed successfully on your Android Studio. It is very important that everything installs on your Android Studio. Then click on SDK tools. Then make sure you select Android SDK and CMake. These two is very important. Very, very, very important. Make sure you have this selected. What I say you should go to is come down here to settings, go to SDK manager. So if you don't have this, just look for your SDK manager. You would see it. You will see the icon. If you are using the old version of Android Studio, you will see this icon here on these tabs here. So if you don't see it on these tabs here, that means you come to settings here and you see SDK manager. Then make sure you select SDK tools and click on CMake and Android SDK command line tools. It's very important. Then click OK. Now, Android Studio is going to download some stuffs, possibly 200 MB. Allow it to do that. Now, if you are starting the installation for the first time, make sure you accept the terms. Then the next wouldn't click. You can just click on finish, and that's all. Once you click on finish, it should be okay. So make sure you have everything download. Don't say your network was poor or you had a bad network. So once you've done that, you can just cancel, and you can close your Android Studio. We're not going to be using much of the Android Studio. We just need it to be installed for our Flutter Doctor. So I'm going to close my Android Studio then. Then I'll come back to one more thing we need to download. Now we need to download something else, which is the last thing before we run our Flutter Doctor. Because if you come in here and you run your Flutter Doctor, now the work of Flutter Doctor is to make sure that everything is ready for development. Now, if you are doing it for the first time after installing all of this, you are still going to see some checks which will not be marked, and that's because you've not completed some this thing. So the first one is saying what's it called? So let's wait for this to do. So yeah, so you can see the first one says Flutter, which is going to check if Flutter has been installed and the right Flutter version is there. It's going to check for your Windows version. So as you can see, my own is Windows 10 or higher. Now you're going to be seeing this Android toolchain, Android SDK. That was on your Android Studio, which I told you should go to Android Studio, go to the SDK manager, go to SDK tools, and select CMake and Android toolchain. Those two are very important. The next one is Chrome. You need to have Chrome installed. Chrome is very compulsory, so you have to download Chrome. So you can just go to your Edge browser and click on Chrome download. So once you come to your, just type in on Chrome download. So most of these softwares will be made available for you on the in the venue if you don't want to have to go through going through the stress of doing that. So most of you would have to go home and do this installation because there might not be enough time, and some people might not be able to finish this installation at the venue, which I said I was actually going to say that. So click on download Chrome. So once you download the Chrome, you can install Chrome because Android Studio is going to check for Chrome. As you can know, Google Chrome, Flutter is created by Google, so trust me, they are the ones having the telling you the right thing to you're going to need for that stuff. So you're going to need Visual Studio, which we've just downloaded, and we're going to need Visual Studio Community 2022. This is very important. So for you to have this, you just have to go to Visual. So there's a difference between Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. You download Visual Studio Code, but now we need to download Visual Studio Build Tools. So you can type on Visual Studio Build Tools and click on the first one. So now once you get to the first one, you're going to see Visual Studio 2022. What you need is the free download, community free download. You have to download that. So once you download that, it's going to do some installation. You're going to click next, and once you have finished installing it, you can just type on open mine Visual Studio installer. So it's going to download Visual Studio 22. So nope, let me just sorry. So you will not open Visual Studio immediately. You're going to open the Visual Studio installer. This is very important. This is the first thing you want to open You got to open this because we have to download some required packages. And I'm going to be showing you the packages we have to download, which is very, very important. Now, we might not be using this Microsoft Visual Studio. We might be using your Visual Studio Code, which is light and easy to use. So if you've downloaded Visual Studio installer, this will come up first. You will get this thing immediately. Then you are going to see something like this on your screen. So I'm trying to tell you all the things you're going to see on your screen. If you follow all these steps one after the other, you're going to see something like this on your screen, and it's going to get things ready. And I'm going to tell you what to select. Now, once you come in here, you want to make sure you go down to mobile development, desktop development with C. You need to check this stuff. You need to check this. For a start, you can check this or you can also check this. But this is preferable. I would check this. So check this and make sure that once you check this, add, depending on your Windows version. If you are using Windows 11, select Windows 11 SDK. If you are using Windows 10, select Windows 10 SDK. All of this is just 2 point some gigs, which I said it earlier that I'm going to spend a lot of gigs on this, and that's because that is application development. The setups are so much higher than that of web development, if you get what I'm trying to say. Once you've done this and you've installed all of these perfectly, you followed all these steps I said, which, as I said, I'm going to put it on the description and send it to you. And I'm also going to refer you to other videos that is going to help you in case you have any issues. And you can also reach out to me on, on my WhatsApp number, or you can reach out to me on the platform. I'm going to explain if there's any issues for you. So all of this will be selected by default. Make sure to add your own. So if you're using Windows 11, you click on Windows 11. If you're using Windows 10, please click on Windows 10. So once you've done that, you can now click install. I have all of this installed. That's why you won't see, you can see it is checked. So it's going to be installing it and it's going to be downloading it, and it's going to be very fast. So once you've done that, you can restart your computer. And once you restart your computer and you run Flutter Doctor again, you have all of these. You have all of these. So once you restart your computer and you run Flutter Doctor, you will see all of these checked. So if by all means your Visual Studio doesn't check, you can still go on with the application, but you might have issue in building. But make sure you work towards getting all of this checked, if you understand what I'm trying to say. So that is very important to do. So once you've done that, I think that is the major installation you want to do. The next thing now is to test if Flutter will actually work. So by doing that, I'm going to come to my folder here. So I'm just going to open my VS Code. Yeah, let me open my VS Code. I'm going to open my VS Code because we want to test if Flutter is actually installed, like if it's going to work. So I'm going to click on open folder because whenever you're building an application, you want to open a folder. So once you click on open folder, go to your documents, right click, and create a new, you want to create a new folder whereby to store most of these things you want to work with. So we're going to create a new folder and let's just call it app development. So every of the app development you are going to be doing will be here. So click on this folder. So if you are creating 5 applications, it's going to be inside this folder. It's going to be in your document. Then click on select folder. So VS Code is going to prep all of this for you to be ready. Then once this is done, you're going to come to this top of the bar here and you're going to open your terminal out. So as you can see, we're going to trust this folder and we're going to continue. Now, before we do anything, you need to have your internet connected because we're going to have to, check some stuffs. So you come to your extensions here. Come to your extensions. One thing you need to download is you want to download Flutter plugin. you come to your extension and you're going to download a Flutter plugin. You can see, just make sure to check this Flutter and that code. You're going to have to install that. It's going to, if you have not installed it, you're going to see this button. You're going to have to install that. So that is very important. So once you've done the installation, you can come back in here. Then let me explain what we have here. Now it says, if you check here, which I'm using batch. So if you want to change what you want to use, you can click here and you can change your terminal. So you can select the terminal you want. So let me just put this one here. You can click here and select. Maybe you want git bash. Git bash is my default. We have command prompt. So if you are seeing PowerShell or command prompt, just click down here and change it to git bash. So it's going to create a new one. So this is the former one. This is the new one. So now, if you check here, it says this is the name of my computer at desktop. Then just the name. Then it says I'm inside my documents and I'm inside a folder called app development. So that is where I want all my files. So I'm inside the app development. And if you come to my file, let's go to document. Let's go to app development. There is nothing inside here at all. So what you want to do now is, how do we now create a new application in Flutter? By doing that, you just type in Flutter, create, then the name of the application. So let's say Hello World app. So let's just call it Hello World. So I'm going to click enter. Then once you click on this, it means Flutter create an application called Hello World. Now it's going to be creating the folder and doing some dependencies, resolving some things, adding some kind of packages for you, which we're going to be looking at. Now, once it is done, you can see, if you go inside the folder, you can see everything. Now, we are outside the application. We are outside, as you can see. It says, in order to run your application, type cd hello world. Cd hello world means change directory. It means go inside the folder hello world. So currently, your VS Code is within this scope. As you can see, there's hello world here. Now, for us to run this application, you want to, in your terminal, enter inside this application. And how do we do that? By typing cd, the name of the application, hello world. So if you make any mistake with the spelling, you're going to have issues. So once you click on this, now you see it says Flutter run. And let's wait for it to spin up. Now it says, which device would you like to use? It says, what device would you like to use? It says, you want to use your Windows or do you want to use your Chrome? You like to use your Windows, you'd like to use your Chrome. So you can pick any one. I would say there's Windows and there's Chrome. So you could use your Chrome, you could use your Windows. So Flutter can run it. So, but when we connect it to our device, which we're going to be doing in the next videos and installation, you can select anyone. So I'm going to select 2. Then it's going to launch this. Now it's going to take time. It might take time. For the first time you're going to be launching the application, it might actually take time. But once the application is launched, the main thing is, we are going to be looking at the application structure. But for this video, we're just looking into how to, get the Flutter installed, and it should be running on our application. So it's going to take time, and we're going to wait for it. So as you can see now, Flutter has been installed and it's trying to launch the app on this thing. So I just make it. So don't worry, when we install the what's it called, as you can see, Flutter demo. So this is the application. Do not worry, it doesn't look like an app now. When we connect our devices, when we go to Android Studio to launch our device, then you can have this. So one more thing you need to download. Most of us are going to be using our application, but if you want because Android Studio can be very heavy, extremely heavy. So if you want something that is very light to use, a kind of simulator or an emulator that you can use that is better, you can go and download what we call LD Player. So you can use LD Player, download LD Player. It is very light, a lightweight, fast Android emulator for PC. Very, very light. You could also use it to play games if you want. So you can download this. I think it should not be more than 500 MB. So let me see. LD. You can download anyone, 5 or 9. So check it here. So you can have anyone installed. So, and once you've done that and you turn on your LD Player, your computer automatically is going to detect. So as you can see, this is Flutter installed. I can click plus plus plus. Now it says to hot restart changes, press R. So I'm going to press R. So that is hot restart. And if you wait a little bit, you'll notice that it's performing hot restart on the application. So most of these, as you can see, is trying to, then we have it like this. So most of these things are trying to, just hot restart, hot reload, and if you want to quit the application, you can just press Q. So that's that for the installation and the setup. If you have any issue, don't forget to send me a DM and I'll help you fix that. So that's all for this particular setup and installation. And in the next video, we'll be looking at other ways to install Flutter, other ways to run Flutter if you're having a low PC requirement, and so that you can carry on with this course. Thank you. My name is Python V. I'd love to see you in the next video. I also love to see you in the next class. Do have a nice time, and don't forget to follow me on my social media account, including Nitida and Kim Plus. Thank you very much.